Welcome to today's Explainer. We're opening up a brand new case file right now. And I gotta warn you up front, the details in this one, they are genuinely staggering. What we're looking at is an incredibly audacious daylight attack that literally shook regional law enforcement to its absolute core. So we're treating this exactly like what it is, right? An active, gritty, on-the-ground investigation. We're gonna break down the timeline, the targets, and this massive ongoing manhunt surrounding the Charkhi Dadri shootout. Let's open the file.
Okay, let's dive right into this with a number that really sets the tone for this entire case. 30. That is the estimated number of rounds fired during this assault. I mean, just picture that for a second, will you? We aren't talking about some quick, isolated scuffle in a back alley. We're talking about 30 rounds of ammunition unleashed in a sustained, chaotic barrage. It's kind of the firepower you'd expect in a war zone, right? Definitely not in a bustling city environment. This was a highly coordinated, heavily armed ambush, and it was clearly designed to leave zero survivors.
And honestly, the location? That makes this crime even more shocking. So on one hand, you have the Charkhi Dadri City Police Station and the court complex, literally the epicenter of regional law and order. It's supposed to be one of the most secure, heavily guarded places in the entire city. But then on the other hand, you have the incident itself. 3 motorcycle-borne assailants pulling up and just unloading those 30 rounds into a black Mahindra Scorpio SUV that had just pulled out of the court premises. The absolute audacity of these shooters to execute a massive hit quite literally on the doorstep of heavily armed law enforcement. It's terrifying, and it sends a very, very specific message. Part 1. The Daylight Shootout. Here's the critical window, mapped out for us on the board. On August 6th, the ambush happens right outside the court premises. 7 people inside that black SUV are hit, and the chaos is just immediate. That exact same day, the victims are rushed for initial emergency treatment over at a hospital in Rohtak. But listen, for one of the victims, the injuries are so incredibly severe that local facilities simply aren't going to cut it. So between August 7th and 8th, this frantic transfer takes place, moving him to a specialized private hospital in Gurgaon. Medical teams fight for his life for days. But tragically, on August 9th, the timeline hits its darkest point, as the victim finally succumbs to his injuries. And that victim was Kirtiman Kajla. Kirtiman was a resident of Tokas village over in the Hisar district. During that hail of gunfire, he sustained absolutely devastating bullet wounds to his neck and to his legs. And despite those emergency transfers and the best efforts of the surgeons in Gurugram, he died without ever regaining consciousness. It's a horrific loss of life. But legally speaking, his passing changed absolutely everything. The exact moment Kirtiman took his last breath, this police investigation was instantly upgraded to a full-blown murder case. Part 2. The primary targets.
Now, what's really interesting here is the stark, undeniable contrast between the victims. So we have Kirtiman Kajla, who tragically lost his life, but consider another occupant in that vehicle, a man named Amit Fatah. Amit didn't just catch a stray bullet. He sustained 7 separate bullet wounds. 7. And when the police pulled his file, they found that Amit has a staggering history with more than 20 criminal cases registered against him. You know, when you have a guy with a rap sheet that long who takes 7 bullets in a highly coordinated ambush, well, the police suspect board pretty much lights up like a Christmas tree. Investigators strongly believe that Amit Fatah was the true primary target of this hit, and the others, sadly including Kirtiman, were just caught in the devastating crossfire. And just to really hammer home the sheer brutality of this close-quarters violence, consider this number, 20. While processing the gruesome aftermath of this shooting, hospital surgeons recovered around 20 bullets directly from the bodies of the 7 injured occupants, 20 bullets removed by scalpels. It paints such a visceral picture of the physical toll this attack actually took. I mean, the shooters weren't just trying to scare somebody, right? They were shooting to kill, emptying their magazines directly into the crowded cabin of that SUV.
Part 3. The department fallout. As you'd expect, the internal fallout from a security breach this massive was incredibly swift. Superintendent of Police Logesh Kumar did not hesitate for a second. He ordered the immediate suspension of 6 police personnel. But get this, these weren't just any beat cops on patrol. These were members of the QRT, the Quick Response Team. Their specific, highly trained job was to provide security at that court complex. They were posted at the exact main gate where the shooting unfolded, and they completely failed to secure the area or even stop the attackers. Suspending that entire 6-man unit, that is a crystal clear signal from the SP that this level of institutional negligence will absolutely not be tolerated. Part 4. Motives and suspects. So, investigators are aggressively probing 4 primary angles trying to unravel this entire conspiracy. First up, gang rivalry. Given Amit Fatah's 20-plus criminal cases, this is honestly a very loud possibility. Was this a targeted hit ordered by a rival faction? Second on the board is old enmity. You know, a deeply personal grudge that finally just boiled over into public violence. Third is a land dispute. In this specific region, conflicts over territory and property can frequently turn lethal. And fourth, they're leaving the door wide open for other criminal motives, basically ensuring they aren't suffering from tunnel vision. They are casting a really wide net to see exactly who benefited from this daylight hit. So the crucial point here is understanding where the arrests actually stand right now. The police have absolutely made progress. They've successfully apprehended 5 accused conspirators linked to the plot, which is great. However, the 3 actual alleged shooters, the guys who actually rode those motorcycles and pulled the triggers in broad daylight, they are still absconding. So the planners might be in cuffs, but the real triggermen are still out there hiding in the shadows. And because those highly dangerous men are still out there on the run, the police response has scaled up massively. SP Logesh Kumar has actually formed 6 special police teams dedicated solely to hunting these 3 fugitives down. Literally, as we speak, these heavily armed teams are mobilized, conducting ongoing, multi-location raids. They're kicking down doors, they're tracking digital footprints, and they're squeezing their informants. They are desperately trying to close the net before these shooters can cross state lines or go completely off the grid. Which brings us to the end of today's case file. And honestly, it leaves us with a deeply unsettling reality. With 5 conspirators caught, but the actual triggermen still armed and on the run, we really have to ask who truly orchestrated this brazen hit from the very top. And more importantly, with tensions running this high and the target so clearly marked, is this just the opening salvo? Will this violence spill right back out into the streets? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and definitely stay curious as this crazy investigation continues to unfold.